Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. All right, the wait is over. Welcome again. It's time for To the Outer Limits. Today we're going to be talking about the Zanti Misfits, one of the classic episodes of Outer Limits, featuring very gross little bugs that, thank God, have cartoon faces. Not just here with Gabe Hardman and William Meyer and Jeff Parker and Ian Brill. Welcome. We've got a full cast today. It's good to see everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you. Glad to be here.
Good to see you, John.
I never believe Gabe when he says it. I'll accept it for this conversation. It's quite all right. So, fun episode, written by Joe Stefano as well as produced by Joe Stefano.
Yeah.
And jump ball, gentlemen. Who wants to jump in?
Well, you were saying that they're ants with cartoon faces. Actually, I read the script for this, and in the script it describes them as a 12-inch red ant with a human face, which actually kind of sounds scarier than what's in the show. You know, I mean, like although I guess when these were another, sculpted by Hua Chang, like he was the guy behind this from Projects Unlimited, and supposedly Stefano told him that something like they should look friendlier or something like that when he saw, or sweeter or something like that. Some weird thing. I've seen this quote crop up over and over again. I have no fucking idea what that means in relation to what we actually see.
Here's a couple quick little gifs. The sound might cut out while we do it, but you can appreciate the stop motion work that was done on these. It sounds like we're still on while we're playing them. There we go. Just little moments. There you go.
Yeah, the stop motion, I guess it was animated by a guy called Al Ham, who had, I'm not entirely clear on his other credits, but I just wanted to give him credit for actually doing the stop motion stuff, because that's like a pretty, really crazy, ambitious thing for a TV show at that time.
That's interesting, because when I delved into it, I came up with Jim Danforth.
Oh, well, maybe it was Jim Danforth. I don't know. I mean, that's this is from the that Outer Limits book.
Okay.
But you maybe have better information.
Well, these are the photos John was just flashing up. I sent to him earlier today. These are Jim. That's him with Harryhausen.
Yeah.
I just have a brief thing about him since we're showing the pictures now. So he was a stop motion animator and matte painter. He worked with Harryhausen on Clash of the Titans, primarily the Pegasus, as you see in the picture. He was twice nominated for visual effect Oscars. He also worked on the George Pal version of The Time Machine, the Star Trek pilot The Cage, matte paintings on Dark Star, which was that John Carpenter and Dan O'Bannon precursor to Alien. He did matte paintings, or at least a matte painting on Conan the Barbarian, the Milius film. And I thought this was very interesting. He quit the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences when the remake of King Kong in 1976 won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects. He had enough.
That's funny because it was. I mean, the whole thing about that movie was they made it out like, or what? I mean, it was something like they made it out like they were using a full-scale animatronic Kong all the time, or something like that. But really, most of it was Rick Baker in a suit. That was the
That's what I read was the impetus for his ire.
Right. That's funny.
But Jim Danforth would have worshipped Willis O'Brien, so that's understandable.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a little extreme to quit the academy or whatever, but maybe he was a grumpy guy. I don't know.
I also read the script and I noted, and I'm sure you noticed this too, that it's described as 12-inch, but then it's crossed off and it says 6 to 8 inches.
Yeah,
like they're just like, no, it's not a foot long anymore.
Yeah, this script that we had is there are a couple of handwritten notes from, I'm not sure who. I mean, it could have been anybody on the crew, but maybe the director, maybe the first AD or something. But there are a couple of kind of little production notes scribbled in the corners, which is always great. I always love stuff like that. Yeah. It's also funny, just general side note about reading these scripts is that the way that they're written is so much different than the way scripts are written now. And in that, there's an insert, there's a big slug line for an insert shot, and they it's all broken down in this different way. None of this is interesting to anybody but me. But the way that scripts are written so much now. I work off scripts doing storyboards all the time, and the fashion is to write things in these sort of expressionistic ways and never even give slug lines or valuable information, and because they're also supposed to be so readable. But for me, when I sit down and actually work on them, that usually amounts to being useless. The idea of this kind of Sid Field, Robert McKee wankery of the way that you're supposed to write scripts now that translates into not being an effective tool to make a movie with. But whatever. That's my thing about scripts. You can continue.
I noticed sometimes in the margin. I mean, we haven't even talked about the plot, but sometimes in the margin it says project during the actual Zanti shots, and I was wondering, Gabriel, if you knew, is that a specific visual effects term, or is that just a generic?
No, the company that Hua Chang worked for is called Projects Unlimited.
Oh, right.
It's just called Projects. I'll bet it was just a note that was something that was going to be covered by them.
Right. Yeah, I didn't connect it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But yeah, as far as what this is about, I mean, maybe we should go into that instead of just talking about bug animation.
I like what Guy says here. This was a fantastic episode. The ending packs a wallop. The guy going down the stairs gets bit, leaves one in shock after it's over. Yeah, we can get into it. Obviously, this is an alien infestation and a insect infestation, and creepy crawlies always creep me out. But thankfully, with those cartoon faces, it's a little easier to stomach this alien invasion. But yeah, I mean, and interesting cast. I'm a big Michael Tolan fan. I won't deny it.
He's one of those guys that was in, another of the guys who was a guest star in a million things. Did he have a series at some point? I mean, because he really wasn't a film actor. Right?
That's a good question. I know, like you said, I mean, I remember him from Mary Tyler Moore in particular. Yeah. To me, he was always poor man's Joseph Cotton. I don't know why, but facially he reminds me of Joseph Cotton. Is he still with us? No, died in 2011.
Well, we can't get an interview with him either.
Yes, but made it to Murder, She Wrote, Law and Order, among other shows. But yeah, he was in the Addams Chronicles as he was the narrator. Wow.
Okay.
That famous miniseries from the 70s. Sure.
Since we've got so many people here, why don't we go around the horn and find out what just general thoughts on on the episode and what you liked or didn't or whatever. Ian, you go first.
I was really interested in this tension within the military at the beginning because it's kind of weird. I mean, usually a lot of these stories, these sci-fi parable anthology stories that certainly the Twilight Zone like to do, they're all about the military being too strong or too warrioristic. And this is a story where you have, at least in the main general character, he's embracing this war, or just not even a war in this case, but like military action via computer, and with an enemy that's far away. It definitely feels very Cold War, that you have the World War II generation, and they talk about how Michael Tolan's character, his father, was also a war correspondent. And now they want to, after going through that, they now want to do an entirely different war. And I'm sure it's the kind of thing that, like, Robert McNamara probably thought was how it's going to be. And maybe I think a lot of people in the Kennedy Johnson administration thought Vietnam was going to be. That was not the case, but you can see them wanting to be like, if war happens again, it won't be like the old war. It'll be in some ways bloodless and more like
contained,
more like business. Yeah, but more like
the one thing I'll say about
business.
Yeah, no, but I mean, totally. But the one thing I'll say about that is I feel like there's a kind of humanism to the general that is also contrasted with his, the guy below him, But the general is called General Hart, which may be a little on the nose, although we have a lot of on the nose names in this episode. But I think that kind of the way that he's introduced and the kind of human connection between him and the
Michael Tolan.
Michael Tolan, Grave. It is kind of, I think to me, it seems like that's almost a comment on the 50s sci-fi movies that, that this is trying not to be, That it's not, where the military people are sort of one-dimensional and, they have sort of one-dimensional goals. It seems like there's at least, there's a sort of humanistic quality to him that I thought was sort of interesting.
Well, they
And
do.
also, I was just going to say real fast that that's Robert F. Simon. And later on in the 70s, of all things, he was J. Jonah Jameson in the Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man TV show.
Right, that's right. Jeff Parker, it's your turn.
Oh, sorry. Well, they do the cool thing. What I love about it is they mash up a science fiction story with a pulp dime novel Mickey Spillane crime story.
Yeah.
These two lowlifes who have knocked over a liquor store or a bank somewhere and killed a guard. Bruce Dern killed a guard. She has problems with it. She wasn't in it that far. She just wanted to leave her husband. Yeah. So anyway, they're driving a sweet 63 Lincoln convertible with suicide doors. And they come up to the edge of the base, which for a base that's dealing with interplanetary creatures is extremely poorly guarded. There's one guy at a wooden gate.
Yeah.
Over.
There was a psychological fake out there. Oh, it's only one guy. How important could it be?
Yeah. I mean, we can kill him, right? It's just one guy. Who cares?
Yeah,
Yep.
They mow him down. I like the fact that she's still worried about the guard. That's later, but anyway, they get there. We find out the plot is that the Zantis are sending there, and you can kind of see where it's going early on, but the fun is getting there. And, the Zantis are communicating through this whole retape system where they're playing it back, which also feels like from Invasion of the Flying Saucers, I think.
Okay, yeah.
What was the Harryhausen one? And it's got the just devastating us.
Exactly what you're talking about now.
I think that's the way they did the translation in that too.
Yeah.
So naturally, the young Jim Danforth wants to be part of that.
Right.
Danforth also did a creature in John Flesh Gordon.
Oh,
Yay.
John out for that.
I think Phil Tippett worked on that as well, or
they worked together on was it Exa? What I'm sure someone here knows Exa. Him and Tippett. They did Exa. What's it called?
It
was a short, and then it was a feature.
Yeah, I know.
In Criterion, and the.
Oh my
bad.
God. I don't know if the people out there know, but there's been a fucking election going on, and I've got like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, like, why we're doing this, I don't know. But
guys, if I hear one thing about Philadelphia, I'm out of here.
Yeah. I just got to go on, but I know I will remember the name of this. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So anyway, the criminals get out there. Everybody finds out, a car got on base.
Equinox. Sorry, go ahead.
Feels very origin of Bruce Banner sort of thing,
Yeah.
And so the good-looking guy, Steve, whatever, because all journalists and scientists are just hot-looking dudes in the Outer Limits.
Something tips off the the prejudices of the creators there, where like the those kind of guys are the ones that
they're the ones you want. And right. So he goes out there because General Hart is just like, yeah, you talked me into it. I mean, like you say, he's the most flexible military man ever.
Yeah.
And sends him out. So I think by that point, Bruce Dern has already found the little spaceship, freaked the hell out because one of the Zantis have come out, even though anybody else would probably think, I'm 100 times bigger than this bug and kill it, which they do figure out eventually. And I'll let somebody else pick it up from there.
Well, but also they're criminal. Like Bruce Dern is a criminal.
They're misfits. They're
criminals.
They're all misfits.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The whole premise turning on the planet Zanti or Zanti, depending if you're a native, sending their criminals to Earth because we can't kill them. They deserve in their system they would die, but we can't kill our own species, so we're going to send them to Earth and let the Earthlings. And they sort of coerce. They have that conversation where the military, the human military, is like, why are we allowing them to do this? And it's like, well, because they can destroy us at any moment if they want. So, like, they don't resist in any way, and they accept the criminals from this other planet without knowing what they are, or they don't know what they look like. In the script, for a while, it's played as a mystery about the size differential. Like the scale is like held off much longer in the script, and I felt like in the actual episode, I never at any point thought this was like a large ship.
Yeah, no, I know. I think that I mean, Leonard Horn is the director of this. I mean, I think he does he does a workman good job, and it's effective and everything. But I think some of those fake outs and teases that are in the script don't really come off. Like it feels like there are there are definitely ways that you could have especially there at so they shot the part with the Zantis and stuff mostly at Vasquez Rocks, which is up to 14 and just on the edge of the zone where you can still have people drive and park their own cars. So there's like a 30-mile zone from the center of LA, and and if you go beyond that, you have to put people in a hotel. But there's and this is the place from where Kirk bought the Gorn and all that sort of stuff. And when they're in the car there, that's the parking lot. That's like where if you drive in there, that's where you park. So
agreed.
And then but it just seems like kind of knowing that space, it seems like so much more. Like you could have had that point of view through the little slot of the the spaceship of tiny little Bruce Dern walking up the that long graduated thing up to the ship, and then reveal as he gets there that I read these scripts and I imagine the better way you could have staged some of these things.
It was wasted.
Yeah, they did it. They've got 6 days. They've got a lot of little fucking props on wires that are gonna fuck everything up. But that felt like
looking place.
Yeah, they really could have been milked a little bit better, I think.
Well, and of course, I was going to say real fast. Obviously, here the example, and of course the fact that it is indeed Vasquez Drax, star of many a Star Trek episode.
This is totally self-serving, but I had a friend at CalArts, and for his thesis film, he asked me to write his short, and I wrote a cowboy meeting an alien, and he shot it there, and we had our alien stand at the exact spot where the Zanti lands. So,
yeah, I think
that's awesome.
I think Steve Niles and Monica got married out there.
No kidding.
Yeah, I just saw they had an anniversary or something. He posted some pictures But
that's fantastic.
If you have the chance and you're in town and want to drive up to 14, it's totally worth it. It's such a
beautiful
place to go.
What's the Gabe? What's the Spawn Ranch looking place that they're shooting the rest of it at?
Ghost Town.
What is it?
It's a ghost town.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure what that. I think it was probably on the MGM backlot because that stuff. Most of the thing, obviously, this episode was written around. We got this one location, and we can shoot it. We could shoot and we have access to this ghost town. They would never be in a ghost town in a million years if it wasn't that they had that they could cheaply and easily shoot that. So I mean, and most of the stuff. Because of the way it was produced, most of the things that are exterior standing stats are backlot MGM, which doesn't exist anymore.
Well, it looked like the Star Trek Ghost Town episode where they have the gunfight, but it also made me think the premise with the military having a hidden base out there. I was thinking wow, I wonder if they took this for war games, where.
Right.
Everybody ends up going out to the old drive-through or drive-in, and then goes underground to where the base is.
Yeah, right. No, actually, yeah, that's actually a good point. But also in this, there's the beaded curtain in the.
That's where they keep the porn.
Yeah, this was the brothel in town that they.
It was very weird. The beaded curtain. I agree. Hey, we were concerned earlier.
The beaded curtain is in the script, so
it is in the script.
Yeah, it is. So that was very important detail for Joseph.
Interesting. I was going to point out because we were talking about it before the show started that we were concerned that Amazon Prime has pulled Outer Limits from their regular Prime viewing. And the good news is that a lot of here, first of all, where is it? Because people already started commenting on it. Here it is. Peter, thank you. Amazon pulled it. Yes, indeed. But already our viewers were right there and knew that they could watch it on Video Motion and Daily Motion, rather.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about Daily Motion. One, because, even though it's free, it's got a lot of weird place commercials. And sometimes some things they do, they flip the video. I used to watch old Columbos on there, and then you'd see the text backwards, and you go, "Oh no!" And it would mess with me the entire episode, trying to figure out how it's really staged. But
I wonder if that's done to avoid an algorithm knowing that it's copyrighted material.
I'm sure it is.
Right. Yeah.
So I think we're going to run into that eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are they putting the whole thing up there? Or is it just key episodes?
I noticed that it was there, and that's when Gabe told me that some of you guys were having trouble. So I'm like, all right, well, just it's at Daily Motion as well. I went ahead and bought the series on the digital version of the series, so I didn't really buy it, but I've got it for an extended rental as long as Amazon exists, I'm assuming.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. And yeah, I don't know. Is that a barrier for people watching? You know, I don't know moving forward if that's going to be a problem or not. For us, you know, having people being able to watch along with us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a concern for me. I mean, not me personally. I have the Blu-rays because I'm an actual fan of the Outer Limits. But I'm concerned about the audience. You know, I'm concerned about people. This is all about bringing new people in, right?
Right,
so,
right.
You know.
No, I don't disagree. Yeah, I guess, you know, we'll see what people say if they've already got the you know, the stuff. We got another email from forget his name right now, Martin Noro, just saying that he was looking forward to tonight's episode because he's such a fan of this specific episode. Yeah, like, I mean, this is one of the iconic episodes in terms of
absolutely.
the bug. You've got a Zanti bug, don't you, Gabe?
I do. Right here.
There he is.
No way.
Yeah.
How about
Is that screen used?
Yeah, I think the Sideshow maybe made these like a few years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
and you got the one with the chops. That's great.
Yeah.
The,
I believe
the wise one. He's a sage.
That's what I went for. Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like the overall in this episode, the like one of the things I like about it, as I often like in the Outer Limits, is like there's this attempt to deal with stuff in this kind of serious way, and there's the most ridiculous looking fucking bugs in it at the same time. Like, and the way that you have to reconcile those two things, I kind of love. I mean, I like that the Grave character is a sort of historian of the space age, and the kind of like there's something sort of epic about that to me. But like I also love that he's, you know, it's taken on certain thematic things, like, you know, him being the kind of, you know, observer, relative pacifist in this group where that's a bunch of military guys, who then is the first one to murder a Zanti Misfit. Art is from
a rock. He just picked a rock.
His arc is from passive academic to murderer, you know, and I think that's pretty great.
I like that you mentioned the space historian, and so the Earth in this scenario is aware of other intelligences, but doesn't have their own space travel. Yeah, and I think that was a unique kind of foundation for a story where we're kind of on the back heel, you know, to begin with.
Like we're not presented as this kind of powerful jingoistic thing that you would have gotten in a 50s sci-fi movie. It's that kind of early 60s adjustment where we're like, you know, we're questioning our place in the world and the Cold War and all that sort of stuff. Like where some of that stuff is falling apart a little bit, I think.
Go ahead. The woman is, you know, she's got her own little arc cutting through there that seems to be her just thinking all men are killers. You know, it's just like she is very disillusioned.
Yeah, she seemed to me to be in like her own private psychological space the entire episode. She has these monologues where you're like, "What is going on?" But I mean, I liked it, but it was.
I agree. I like the part where she just unhinges after seeing the thing, you know, and like has that kind of nonsense monologue. But like, I don't know, I might flip the fuck out of one of those things too. You know, I mean, I think that like so often people are, you know, they scream or they run away or they're stoic when they, you know, encounter a bizarre, you know, ant with a cartoon human face. But like this deals with it in this kind of, you know, like, I mean, she has a total fucking breakdown from seeing this and seeing it on Bruce Dern and stuff. I kind of like that.
She has also the traumatic last line in the episode.
Oh,
what is it? Executioner?
Her practice executioners. Right? Isn't that that she's repeating from what the Zantis said?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm cracking up when she's doing it. Yeah.
And I mean, this is again another we're fucking terrible sort of story. Like in the end, we're humans and we're horrible fucking murderers, and like the end, But like I can't, I'm not going to argue.
I will say this, that something that the anti-government needs to realize or own up to: if you send your prisoners to a planet that's going to kill them, that's
You're
you
still
killing
doing it.
them.
Yeah, right.
I know.
That's on you.
I know. Well,
They're playing a semantic.
They're hypocrites too. I mean, I think that's a pretty reasonable thematic thing.
I think part of it, they just wanted to stick it to humans and be like, ha ha ha.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
prank.
Like they have a sadistic, we got you to kill our dudes.
yeah.
I would have ended it with like a couple of the bugs making it away and going back for that money in the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that would have really
Even though I've
been the
seen
perfect
this.
ending.
The money and the gun in the glove compartment, and then they're just like, they're sticking up the stop and go and the
Even though I've seen this multiple times, that last pan is so slow and methodic. I thought, there's going to be one still going,
Yeah,
it comes
right.
over to that sign, and I thought maybe you would see but no, you don't.
Yeah.
So never mind.
Well,
we
but I
don't
mean,
know what these. We don't know what the Zanti Misfits did. Is the other thing. Like, we're told like this is the Zanti world is like this perfect society. So maybe these misfits, maybe they didn't like add up the number of breadcrumbs correctly, and like this is their punishment. How do we know they're that bad?
I think it's very clear they're violent, Ian.
maybe it's because they immediately killed Bruce Dern. Like
That's true.
Can we
I'm
talk
scared.
about Bruce
if
Dern?
you, of course, we can talk about Bruce Dern.
Yeah.
Did anyone else, and I don't know if I'm making this up, but my subjective response, I'm watching this, he comes on screen, and I'm thinking, he's so relaxed. Like, his performance in juxtaposition to the other actors just seemed so different to me.
Yeah.
And I literally thought to myself, was he part of that East Coast Kazan actor studio thing? And then I looked it up, and he was.
Yeah,
So
no, and
I was like, am I vibing on that? Is that like anyone else?
he's like he was a great actor who was just, this was before he worked with Corman and it was, and before, he was in, Marnie a little later, but like, I think that he's just coming in as somebody who has just such a natural talent as well. I mean, I think he really holds the screen, and multiple times she talks about how he's not beautiful. I think he's a pretty good looking guy, though. I don't.
He's very Anthony Perkins in this.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Oh, I can totally see that. Yeah. I mean,
one of the joys. No, go ahead, Gabe.
No,
okay.
please
One
go.
of the joys of going through this show is seeing. We're seeing, I guess, kind of classic TV era actors, but you also do see that new generation come up, because we're going to see Robert Duvall pretty soon, actually in both seasons, and like Warren Oates with big googly eyes, and it's great to see. And I guess we saw Martin Sheen earlier of these, I guess, older baby boomer kind of actors, and that are bringing in this different style. And I don't think the styles clash. It's just interesting to see the kind of contrast between Michael Tolan and Bruce Dern.
They're the silent generation. They're not baby boomers.
Yeah, but I also I like that dynamic. I like that there's in something new, and and we talked about how a lot of these people came from Jeff Corey's acting class.
Yes.
And like and then mixing with those kind of more solid, TV people. And Olive Deering, who plays, I think her name's Lisa. She, she was in these fucking Sword and Sandal or whatever, biblical rather, Cecil B. DeMille type pictures, and 10 Commandments and Samson and Delilah and stuff like that. So she's coming out of some like a completely different world. But I think that she has a kind of interesting, weird charisma. She's like 20 years older than he is, And
yeah, was that in the script? Was that planned?
No, there's no. I was wondering about that, and I paid attention to that part because it's it's usually pretty like standard to just give the age of a character when you're introducing them, but there was nothing. There was nothing in the script that made that specific, which is kind of interesting. I think there's just an interesting texture to that that she's significantly older than him and obviously dissatisfied, with her life and ran off and and had an amazingly terrible experience with insect guy.
Yeah.
Real briefly, I just remembered while Gabriel was describing all that it's there's a segment I think is deleted from the script where Bruce Dern's character says, "I'm going to go look at that spaceship," and he talks about the spaceship briefly, but in the actual episode, he just sees it and off he goes.
Yeah. Well, probably because when you see something, you don't need to talk about it. There's a lot of things like that where it seems like, and so Stefano wrote this and he talks about how I guess this was the first full script that he wrote on his own as opposed to just doing work on other people's scripts. And
sure,
he wrote it over a weekend, just in this fugue state of locking himself in a room and just writing without thought of structure or whatever, and I think that there's it probably shows a little bit in the really odd structure of this episode. It feels like you should be I don't know, the way the elements are introduced is strange, but I also kind of like that. I don't know. It may have been accidental. It may not be author intent, but there, I don't know. I think it makes it a little bit more effective, just because it's odd, unexpected in the way that it goes.
I'm with you. That's awesome. Can I, real fast? Can I point out? I'm sorry. Say it again, Gabe.
The structure is unexpected, not necessarily it's not like you don't know what's going to happen, but just the way things play out is unexpected.
We didn't mention the other military man, Claude Woolman, who, forgive me for bringing this up, but when I saw him, I immediately thought of Corey Lewandowski, everybody.
Oh, my God.
Me too. I could not stop thinking about it, and I felt so bad.
I can't either. Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, yikes.
I love, though, one of my favorite moments is him jumping over that ladder at the end. He just tears off. He's like, I know, I'll take a pistol, and that will take care of the Zanti Misfits.
Right.
I love that first time someone just shoots one.
That thing, the thing at the top of the stair where the soldier just shoots it point blank, and then like he's this badass, and then he goes up the stairs and he comes back, and he's just covered with them and launches himself across.
I love that.
Yeah.
that guy was committed. That's what I love. I love a guy who, an actor who's gonna he
sells it.
Yeah, he totally sells it. He throws himself over a desk and covered with fucking ant guys. It's great.
The death knell.
Hopefully, that's the way you want to end the show. You just the whole place erupts. It's like the pie fight at the end of the Great Leslie. It's just everybody's going nuts. They're smashing and killing and throwing little weird grenades and I guess initially it's war. It's supposed to be a war.
Yeah, initially it didn't end with that. The initial draft of the script did not end with the big invasion fight thing at the end. It was it was just it seems it was a little unclear to me. I don't know if anybody else read about this or heard about this, but it apparently ended with just the revelation of what happened, that they wanted him to kill him, or that somehow those elements were switched around. It was really I don't know. It's unclear, but somehow it was. I don't know how it would have worked that way, but somehow it was not. There wasn't maybe they nuked the thing or something, and killed it that way. But one way or another, it wasn't scripted that they had this giant fight like that. But I'm glad they did, because it was crazy and fun, and whatever. And we can't, we can't discount the part where people were watching this on a shitty little, like at best 27-inch CRT monitor that didn't, give us like, we're not seeing every detail of these guys. It was a lot more impressionistic.
You just said his name and I spaced. I should have pretended I knew who he was. But when he ran outside and he turns that corner and there's just a wall of Zanti.
Yeah.
And then I like rewound it like 3 times because the effect was so convincing to me. There's one that I guess is on a cable they pull over his like chest. Did you guys see that? It like comes up and over his shoulder.
Yeah.
I thought it was like so effective.
It has to be on a cable. I mean, there's no other way they could have done it. I mean, it's not animated because there's a live action part. I mean, every bit that's stop motion is just a locked off shot that's excluding everything else because they couldn't both do stop motion and a composite.
And the one goes up the guy's pants leg.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's the one that probably freaked people out the most.
Yeah. I made a short film several years ago with spiders, with tarantulas, and there's a moment in it that's not dissimilar where one of the tarantulas crawls up the pant leg of the guy who's stuck in a crashed car. But the actor was way too terrified to actually go anywhere near the spiders or well, frankly, to let them crawl inside his pants. So I doubled for him. But like I doubled for everything that was not safe. But that's what you do when you're making something.
Good.
Hilarious.
Speaking of spiders, I had another of my tangential connections that I appreciated. There's that moment before they know what the Zantis look like, where they're outside and there's a little ant, a real ant, a human, earth ant, a human ant, an earth ant on the pillar, and he goes to
and he flicks it off. Yeah, and
he flicks it off. And it just instantly reminded me of Kraven's Last Hunt. There's like a panel sequence where Peter is going to flick a spider, and then he's Peter Parker, and then he stops and he like smiles. And I know there's no connection, but it just like
still. One thing about that, like I was talking about his arc going between the kind of passive historian guy to the killer, but he kind of flicking that ant off of there. He kind of like says that the killer was in him the whole time. We're giving that right up front, like the Outer Limits always does. It tells us what's going on right up front, and we just then we're along for the ride.
Then you watch the dominoes fall.
Yep.
Okay.
Also, a little bit Starship Troopery. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Getting a kill bug.
Little bit.
I also have to very important part. This is the least important thing, but Bruce Dern's torn pants. I don't know if everybody was tracking the out of continuity tear in the seat of Bruce Dern's pants, but when he's climbing up the hill, he's clearly got torn. His pants are torn up. So. He must not have had a change of wardrobe, and when they shot the part where he falls down, after first seeing the guy come out of the ship, he obviously tore those pants when he was falling down the rock thing, and then they shot the parts where you can kind of see it in that still. That then when they shot the part where he was going up the hill and his pants are already torn. Super important, distracting thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're done.
I wish someone had saved that spaceship.
Yeah,
it's gone.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's at Bob Burns' house or something, right?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe in Forey Ackerman's collection it got auctioned off or something.
Yeah, you never know. All right. Well, do we have other stuff about this? Because I think everybody's tired.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Yeah.
I keep giving moments of contemplation. I'm like, yeah. All right.
The only other thing I had written down was I thought there was some interesting handheld work. That kind of stood out.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gave it a little bit more edgy dynamic to the
Well, and even as you were saying earlier about the perspective of the Zanti ship. And the little tentacle or the, whatever for, arm or
The
whatever,
antenna.
bug arm. Yeah, if it was an antenna or a bug arm. I guess it was the antenna. Yeah, you're right. It was the antenna. Yeah, that was a great perspective, and it was good mystery until the reveals of the smiling face bugs, but quite effective.
I like the POV shot from Bruce Stern's character. He's driving the car. You're him driving the car, and then the handheld that kind of smothered Lisa into the car when the Zanti were, approaching I guess it was the guard, right? There was guard Zantis and prisoner Zantis, and I wasn't quite sure which were which. But.
Well, thanks for reminding me of that, William, where you said the Zantis throw in a thing. The guards, they were a little dicey too, so we're okay if you killed them.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
There's a part of it where it's like, wait a second, there were guards. They're not the criminals. So how does that work? But I don't know.
They plugged that hole right there.
Yeah.
Communication.
You're talking. Ian was talking about what we don't know that these Zantis did anything that terrible. I'm guessing just for storytelling symmetry that at least
They're
two Zantis, like one of them was a killer and the other one was a wife who ran off with the killer. You know?
Maybe mutton chops are illegal on Zanti, and that's why the one had to go.
Yeah, it could.
Those big mutton chops.
I mean, certainly at least not in fashion.
And I mean, they come out, they see creatures 100 times bigger than them, and they immediately charge.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's no question they're jerks, but
they're bad news.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing though, we were talking about the on the nose name of the general with General Hart. There's all the. I mean, the town is called Morgue, as someone commented.
Yeah.
And the guy is called Grave, and I guess that. I don't know. Somehow, I guess the fact that he has a line of dialogue about it where he brings it up somehow takes the curse off of it. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure if all of it is just way too heavy-handed or not. I mean, there was the thing on the last movie I did with Chris Nolan, Interstellar, where I was talking to him at one point, and there's a character in it that. Matt Damon is stranded on a planet or some fucking thing, and
that's right, yeah.
And his name is Man, right? And I was having a meeting with Nolan, and he was like, "Do you think that's too heavy-handed, Man?" And I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, I didn't think about that." He's basically just representative of how terrible Man is, But so I guess that the lure of naming something in a super heavy-handed way has not gone away.
Did anyone? I read the trivia that said the machine from Obit is in the HQ, but I didn't see it. Did anyone see?
No, I didn't notice that. But it's I don't know.
It could be where the guy's sitting right there.
Yeah, maybe it's that guy, and it just doesn't have the big screen on it, so it's not as obvious. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it is in this lower right hand corner. Maybe that's the. I don't know. I was too interested in the fact that reel-to-reels were prominently used in the translations. Obviously,
yeah.
Rewind. Now it translates.
Exactly.
They're speaking backwards. It's just backmasking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sound like they were in the Black Lodge.
Yeah.
Dr. Cuckoo says, Michael, yes, indeed.
Ian, thank you for doing my job of bringing up Twin Peaks.
Oh, and God, I should point out this blog where I got a ton of the pictures from my life in the glow of the outer limits.blogspot.com. This guy went to town on photos and so many of these great photos. And he kept pointing out that both Bruce Dern and another one of the character actors were both in Gabe's favorite show, also produced by Leslie Stevens, Stony Brook. I should have included those pictures, but I didn't want this guy to go, "Hey, man, you're using all my stuff." We did a lot of his stuff.
Bruce Dern is in 17 episodes of Stony Brook or something. I didn't
realize that.
Whoa.
He's basically
different characters.
Yeah, he's one of the cowhand, I don't know what, like junior rodeo guys who follows around,
Jack Lord.
Yeah. And
that's so funny.
Is in almost every episode of it.
Who is?
Warren Oates is in almost every episode of Stony Brook. It's got an amazing cast.
Interesting. No, I'm a big, Dern's from the town next to mine, suburb of Chicago, Winnetka.
Oh yeah,
and he went to my high school. He went to New Trier.
No, nice. Well, we're still waiting for you to get with the alumni.
That's true. I know.
Down.
I blew it with Ralph Bellamy. Too late. The window closed on Ralph Bellamy, but Anne Margaret and
wait, Ralph Bellamy's dead?
Yeah, this just in. I'm
we
sure
were
he'd
just
be
going to
100.
start a Bickerson's podcast.
Oh no, that's Don Amici. That's the other one.
Oh, I've got the two from Trading Places.
Exactly. No, exactly. That's Don Amici. Who was also dead.
Yeah, always remember who Don Amici is because in the past people called it Telephone and Amici because he played Alexander Graham Bell.
That's exactly right. Yes, indeed. Yep. And his great late turns at the end of his career in Cocoon and that amazing little David Mamet movie, Things Change.
Yeah, it's really good. That's a great movie.
Love that movie.
All right.
There we go. If we're talking about David Mamet movies, it's time to wrap up, I guess.
We've done it.
Indeed. Well, good job, gentlemen. Next week, what do we know?
Next week is The Mice, I believe.
Henry Silva's back.
Henry Silva, exactly.
That's right. Yes. Just when you thought it was safe to watch Outer Limits, Henry Silva comes back.
Yeah,
I love Henry Silva.
I mean, it may be safe, but you can't watch it because it's not on Amazon Prime anymore. So
right. So yeah. I mean, is this everyone think about that as far as the viewers? But it seems like you all obviously are still very much with us, even though Amazon pulled the plug last week, and we were all okay with this. And yes, as Ed points out, as we mentioned, Henry Silva, that Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead, in a reference to last Henry Silva appearance from last week.
Yeah. All right
then. Good enough. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Good job.
Everybody.
Everybody have a good week off, and we will talk about Henry Silva's fine performance next week as we once again step into The Outer Limits. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.
All right.